bugs. When most people see them, they just panic. But what they don't consider when they panic is just how useful they are. I mean, they keep our ecosystems alive, but they can also help solve murder. This is called forensic entomology. This is where an understanding of decomposition and the life cycle of bugs can help explain how much time has passed since the time of death, as well as whether or not something's been moved. This is my friend Deddy. He will help demonstrate how decomposition works. The first stage of decomposition is called the fresh stage. It happens almost immediately after death with bacteria like Pseudomonas fluorescens secreting enzymes that help break down the organic tissue around them into nutrients that are then reabsorbed into the bacteria. The first insect to arrive at the body is the blowfly, which arrives to feed and lay its eggs, as bodies are ideal spaces for maggot eggs to hatch and develop. The second stage of decomposition is called bloating or autolysis. During this stage, the hundreds of thousands of eggs from the previous stage hatch and become maggots. This is also the stage where beetles like the American carrion beetle begin to arrive at the body to assist the maggots in feeding. The third stage of decomposition is called active decay or putrefaction. During this stage, the maggots are starting to finish up eating and starting to center themselves around the chest while the beetles begin to take over. This is also the stage where beetles like the rove beetle begin to arrive to feed on the maggots that are feeding on the corpse. The fourth stage of decomposition is called the advanced decay. During this stage, almost all the skin has been turned into liquid, and the beetles really take over as the maggots leave the body to pupate and become adult flies, similar to how butterflies cocoon themselves to become adults. This is also the stage where the dermestid beetle begins to arrive to start feeding on the remains and preparing to clean the bones. The final stage of decomposition is skeletonization. This is the stage where dermestid beetles clean any remaining soft tissue and just leave bones, hair, cartilage, and some dried skin. Another thing to understand in forensic entomology is the life cycle of insects like the blowfly. The life cycle of a blowfly begins when the adult fly begins laying eggs, which then take after a day, so roughly 24 hours to 48 hours, begin to hatch and feed immediately on the body, where they then continue to grow over the next few weeks until they become ready to pupate, and then they pupate for at least 10 days to become adult flies. Knowing this, you can now make a pretty good guess at how much time has passed. If the body is covered in beetles, but there's few maggots and flies, then that means that it's been roughly 3 or 4 weeks. Whereas if the body is covered in maggots and flies, then it could be anywhere from 24 to 48 hours to several weeks, depending on the size of the maggots. Overall, decomposition could take anywhere from a few weeks to several months, depending on what the conditions are like. Did that make sense?